Thank you, everyone. Councillors, officers and members of the public, welcome to the 15th of July 2026 Development Assessment Committee meeting. In accordance with Moorabool Shire Council's governance rules, the Council will be recording and live streaming this meeting. The Moorabool News and Star Weekly have also been granted permission to record the meeting. Currently, we have Councillor Ward online, Councillor Berry is not here, and Councillor Tatchell. Their apologies. Confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. Can I have a mover for that? Councillor Keogh. A seconder? Councillor Minari. All in favour? Carried. Matters arising from the previous minutes, there are none. Presentations, deputations, there are 3 speakers to items tonight. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, there are none. Moving on, 9.1, use and development of a motel, 9 rooms and external works to an existing building with advertising signage at 32 Grand Street in Bacchus Marsh. We have a speaker, Toby White of OTL Consulting Group. If you come forward. Whenever you're ready to go. It's on.
Good evening, councillors. My name is Toby White and I'm a town planner with OTL Consulting Group. I appear tonight on behalf of the applicant in support of council's recommendation to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for the proposed 9-room motel at 32 Grant Street, Bacchus Marsh. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge council's planning officers for the considerable work they have undertaken in assessing this application. We support the recommendation contained within the officers' report. We also acknowledge that there are residents who have concerns about this proposal, which deserve to be heard and considered. However, we respectfully submit that this proposal represents an appropriate outcome for the site. Importantly, this is not a substantially new proposal. As council's own report notes, this application is almost identical to the proposal previously considered by VCAT in 2021. VCAT set aside council's earlier refusal and directed that a planning permit be issued. Since that decision, there have been no substantial changes to planning policy. The only material change to the proposal has been the inclusion of a mechanical ventilation system to several of the motel rooms. The officer's report also includes that concerns raised by objectors can be appropriately addressed through permit conditions, to which we agree. The recommended permit includes detailed conditions relating to on-site management, guest behaviour, noise, lighting, waste management and privacy. All enforceable conditions which provide council with an appropriate level of operational management. It is also worth remembering the broader context of the site. The building has remained vacant for over a decade in a prominent location opposite the hospital. Returning it to an active and appropriately managed use will improve the presentation of the site, support visitors to Bacchus Marsh, and contribute to the local economy. These are all outcomes recognised within council's own assessment. Ultimately, this application has now been carefully assessed on 2 separate occasions. VCAT previously determined that a motel is an appropriate planning outcome for the site, and the council's professional planning officers have independently reached the same conclusion in the report before you tonight. On behalf of our client, we respectfully ask the committee to support the recommendation before it and issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillors?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you. Look, I'm not against a motel coming, but I suppose my only issue is your duty manager is only going to be there between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. I feel that it really needs to be 24/7. I understand in your thing that you have given us. It says the duty manager will respond promptly to all after-hours calls and attend site where necessary to de-escalate. Well, by wherever they're going to live, by the time they get out of bed and get there, late to de-escalate anything. So I'm just thinking, would you consider changing that to a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week?
I think we can be open to changing to a 24-hour arrangement, and obviously that can be up to like negotiation with the venue operators whether they're willing to incorporate that or not.
Yes, so I'm just thinking, can that be included? I suppose it's a question for the council officers. Can that be incorporated into the motion?
Mr Lovell?
So through the chair, if we look at condition 14, it says a motel duty manager must be located on site between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Now that condition can be altered to say that the duty manager must be located on site 24 hours a day.
Would you be in agreement to that?
Plans, make sure there's provision in the plans for...
You need a moment? You can take a moment if you need to.
Yep, we'll take one moment.
Yep.
Yep.
Just a question.
Okay.
So there's no...
In the office in the front room of the motel, there's no formally designated bedroom. So currently there is no provision for 24-hour presence on site.
Councillor,
I wasn't thinking about them living on site. I presume you will have 2 shifts between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Why not add another shift overnight? Because if anything's going to happen, that's when it's going to happen, between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. We've got a lot of issues at the moment, even with Bacchus Marsh Police Station. At the moment, they're sort of closing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they haven't got the staff. And my concern is, like, if you've got someone off-site, you're saying that the duty manager can come in, you know, get out of bed, get dressed, come down and be there in a matter of minutes to de-escalate. Where will that duty manager be located? Because, look, I was a bail justice for 23 years and I had to get out of bed at 2 or 3 in the morning to go and do bail applications, and there's no way could I get there in time to de-escalate anything. So I'm just wondering, you know, if it was possible to do that, because people tend to come back late from parties, they come in late, that's when the noise starts and that's when arguments start, and if they're not there, it can't be de-escalated. That's all.
thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I assume you inspected these rooms recently. Yes, my question is going to be around about mould. So obviously there's a substantial amount of rooms with not only no natural sunlight, but no natural... I know you said you're going to put mechanical airflow into the rooms, but what about the bathrooms?
The bathrooms are equipped with exhaust fans and the mechanical ventilation, it's all included within that sort of design.
But no natural sunlight?
Well, yeah, some rooms have no natural sunlight, but with the provision of the application with the mechanical ventilation and, you know, appropriate exhaust fans and all that sort of stuff will be considered to ensure that it is at a reasonable standard to prevent mould and all those sorts of health issues.
Just subsequent, Mr Mayor. So moving to the bedrooms, because like I've never seen a permit granted with, because there's usually a lot of privacy issues, right? So all these windows that are bang onto the boundary, I assume they're all privacy glassed, thus restricting natural sunlight as well?
They will be screened to prevent privacy. Thick glass, yeah. But in a way that, does not reduce the natural light coming in.
And just my last one, Mr Mayor, are they fixed? I assume they're fixed windows.
Fixed windows, yes, correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just have a question of officers with respect to the questions that were raised about condition 14. Obviously, I've been in a lot of motels in my time, but I've never actually run a motel. So is there some sort of standard that you adhere to with respect to duty managers, etc.? The reason I'm asking that, if we load up too much in a condition like this, the applicant could go to VCAT on a condition and the tribunal will refer back to whatever the standard of the industry is. So I suppose I'm just curious, is that something anyone is aware of and perhaps could advise us?
Mr. Lovell?
So through the chair, nearly all these conditions were the ones that were originally approved in the 2019 plan application for the motel. So they looked at things like amenity, they looked at things like a duty manager. The only, I suppose, difference with the current application we've got before us is the applicant's done that extra step of doing an operational management plan, which has talked about behaviour of patrons, and that was condition 22. So that's an addition from the previous VCAT issued permit, which had those specific conditions.
So correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of these conditions emanate from that previous VCAT appeal that was determined by VCAT.
Correct.
Correct. So they do have some sound basis. Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, we have a recommendation in front of us. Do we have someone to move that? Councillor Sullivan? Seconder? Councillor Minari? Anyone opposed? Councillor Bingham?
Oh,
Councillor Sullivan?
Mayor, this site has been a troublesome child to this council over a very long time, evidenced by the numerous VCAT appeals that have been had, and it's sort of been through a few changes over that time. But it is something I think we just need to step up and say, hey, this seems a reasonable application. A lot of those conditions that are on the permit are ones that relate back to the previous VCAT appeal, P1692 to 2020. I think we have to be aware of that, and sort of accept that. Now, it is on one of our major entrances into Bacchus Marsh, and I think we have to sort of see that site being neglected for a long time. Wasn't beneficial to the town and sort of sends out the wrong image for the town itself. And I think we have to bear that in mind and put aside any prejudice we might have to this site and to support it, because I think if we don't, we're only kicking the can down the road, and we're going to come, this council or another will come back at a future date and have to deal with it something then. So I think we've got to balance that and accept that and say, okay, this seems a reasonable outcome, and I would commend the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bingham?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, my objection is entirely around my questioning, particularly the risk of mould. We've seen, across Australia, significant health impacts, especially when mould gets into lungs and whatnot. Now, I'm not opposed to the idea. I think a motel would be great. But as it presently stands, there is a massive risk of mould health effects. So, look, I understand that VCAT's probably probably wanting to approve such a thing. But if VCAT wants to approve it, great, because they can be the ones liable if someone falls sick. I do not want to approve this because if someone falls sick, then they're going to come to council and say, why did you approve? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari.
Thank you. I'm really comfortable with these conditions. I think in terms of things like mould and some other issues because of that building sitting there for so long, I don't think it would even pass the building inspectors. You know, there's people there to make sure that these things are rectified and fixed, and I'm quite comfortable in that space. I look forward to the completion of this because although I haven't really had much to do with it, I do hear quite often how ghastly it is looking, and we also hear about the need for places to stay in our area. So I'm quite comfortable with these conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I would love to have that motel there. I go past it regularly, and I believe we do need accommodation in Bacchus Marsh and the whole of Moorabool. But in all conscience, probably it's my background as well, that I just feel I am concerned that there's not going to be 24/7 there. If you're going to do it, well, maybe cut out one in the middle and have one on between 10 and 7 in the morning. Because if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen then. We've got to admit, even since the last VCAT decision, the landscape has changed. We have now got more crime everywhere, and that crime is coming into Bacchus Marsh. And I'm just concerned about the impact of any inappropriate behaviour on the Shire and residents, and even the motel residents as well, that something can happen. And I don't feel that someone saying, yes, they can pick up a phone and they can come in and de-escalate, because it's just not going to happen. It's great to have all this thing, you know, we're going to tell them about the guests. I can't see it happening. I've had B&Bs, my friends have had hotels, motels, and they've always had that problem of the inappropriate and unacceptable behaviour overnight. And you need to be there to either de-escalate or be able to ring 000. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, you'd like to speak? No? Don't have to.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I fully understand Councillor Freeman's concerns, absolutely. As you can see, I was all in favour of adding an extra hour onto the manager so he stays there till 11. But I also agree totally with Councillor Sullivan that at the moment it is a festering sore in the main street of Bacchus Marsh, and if we knock it, as his words were, if we knock it back, all we're doing is kicking the can down the road. And a motel, if it is supervised properly, is probably the best result we can get out of that at the present time. It's been 10 years and it's a derelict building. And I would imagine that within a few years' time, with the value of the land going up, that will be knocked over and there'll be some sort of medical type buildings put there. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Closing argument, Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can understand the concerns of my fellow councillors, and I think they are genuine concerns and quite clear they've been raised to the appropriate forum to air these concerns. But I think we just need to step back. This application here today is to grant a notice of decision to grant a permit for the use and development of a motel, 10 rooms and external works. That's it. It's a planning permit for the use of a site. The other issues that were sort of raised about the mould and what have you, and I think they are realistic concerns, but it's probably maybe inactivity. If something's locked up for a considerable time, then it's likely that there may be mould in a building, but they are sort of building issues that will need to be sorted out and health issues with the appropriate authorities. Our job here tonight is consider this application, which has been, I think, thoroughly responded to by our officers. And in my view, I think is one that council hopefully will support and allow this to go forward, and hopefully for the benefit of the town, which is sadly needed down there because of this site that sort of looks very unloved for a long time. So council, I would commend the recommendation and look for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. We have a mover in Councillor Sullivan, seconder in Councillor Minari. All in favour? All against? Carried. Moving along, 9.2, planning permit amendment to permit preamble and permit conditions at 22 Crooks Court in Bland. We have two speakers. First up is Sarah Fisher. Yeah, you're fine. We'll find out now. Can we get a copy to run? To comms? Would you be able to give one to comms and then maybe they can forward it on? They just need a phone. Thank you. I'll give you the chance to explain the map first, and then I'll give you your 3 minutes. Oh, sure. No.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So there's 3 pages. The first page is an aerial image, and it has 4 subdivisions overlaid. So the top right-hand one, it's a bit hard to see, but it's indicated as the subject site, so that is the site that we'll be speaking to tonight. Known as, well, it's 20 and 22 Crook Court because there has been a 2-lot subdivision that's already been completed. Below it at number 24, and then to the left at number 5498 and 5500 Geelong Balan Road are adjoining approved subdivisions. The main purpose of this particular aerial and the following page, so the subject site on the top right-hand side shows the existing plan of subdivision that has been approved for the subject site. And in particular, it shows the portion of road connection through to the adjoining lot, which is number 14, Crook Court. On the following page, we've got exactly the same information again. The only difference is to the subject site, which shows that the indicative connective road doesn't go all the way through to number 14 to the north. Instead, in its place is one additional residential lot, which is the crux of the application, the proposed amendment that we'll be talking about. And then the final page, which is just another aerial snippet, doesn't have the subdivision detail on it. But just in terms of any infrastructure, there may or may not be questions that come up. So the subject site, again, it's the northernmost portion on the right-hand side, and then the two other sites in red have also got subdivision approvals. You will see sort of in the top right-hand corner, there is a yellow pin drop on the Old Melbourne Road. That's indicative of the starting point of some infrastructure required associated with these permits. So a culvert upgrade as required by Melbourne Water. And then the blue line on this same page is new pipe infrastructure also required by Melbourne Water as part of the subdivision.
Is there any questions around that, councillors? Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for the maps. Just on the first map, the one of one, the one that sort of has the aerial image plus the superimposed lot layout, and which includes the current situation. Just with given these developments are sort of interlinked or proposed to be interlinked, what is the progress of those existing applications? Are there any plans of subdivision being lodged on those at this juncture, or are they all just in abeyance now until this matter with Melbourne Water is progressed?
Sorry, I'll just make sure I understood that. So are we talking about the 4 indicative lots that have the subdivision layout?
Yes.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Top one, rather, which actually shows the overlaid layout of the 4 developments over the aerial image.
Yep.
And just as to whether any of those have lodged plans of subdivision in the system, or are they still working through with Melbourne Water?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. So the one that's on the top right-hand side, which is labelled as the subject site, so that's our client's site that we will speak to. It has already had a 2-lot subdivision around the existing dwelling. You can see the existing dwelling in the top right-hand corner. So that subdivision process is complete, title's released. The remainder of that subject site has had approval for a subdivision. We've come back, which is the purpose of tonight's discussion, seeking to amend that subdivision to effectively remove that northern portion of the road through to number 14 and replace that with 1 additional lot. And then we've got the other 3 sites, so one underneath to the south, and then the 2 properties that front the Geelong-Balan Road. So those other 3 properties have all had subdivisions approved. At this stage, they haven't really moved too far. All 4 of these subdivisions were approved at a similar time and have fairly extensive Melbourne Water requirements. So there has been preliminary discussions with Melbourne Water to the stage where I think there's some indicative or in principle sort of support to get going, and that's around the last map where we showed the culvert upgrade and then the blue lines for pipes.
Councillor Sullivan.
My question, I understand they've got approved plans for development. My question really, have they progressed to a plan of subdivision being lodged in Spear with council?
No, so they're not at certification stage yet.
So they have, yeah, but has a plan been lodged on any of those in Spear with council?
No, so my clients hasn't. I can't speak for the other 3 because we don't represent those landowners, but I don't think that they have.
Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Question just around the infrastructure upgrades. Is that taking into account your subdivision or the whole 4? Like, is it going to need to be upgraded again when they come online?
No, so what will happen is that these 4 are hoping to work together because it's a pretty substantial infrastructure upgrade. At this point in time, there's an estimated cost for this portion of infrastructure at $2 million.
Okay, so it's not, the cost and the sole responsibility is not just your,
It's not on one landowner
okay, yep, thank you,
unless they're the only one that develops.
thank you.
Questions? All right, we'll move along. You've got 3 minutes and then it'll be up to the discretion of the councillors if they want to extend it.
No worries, thank you.
You may.
Yeah, so just in regards to your last comment, so if the other three don't decide, like what's,
Yeah, so the permits all have similar sort of conditions. So if our client, for number 22, as it's now known, was the only one to go ahead and develop and the others, for whatever reason, decided not to, then it would be up to them to meet all of the permit requirements, which include the culvert upgrade and the pipe infrastructure. And Melbourne Water want to see that done up front. So, which in part answers one of the other questions, have they lodged for cert? No, they haven't. So that's why I guess they will try and work together to share that load.
yeah, so subsequent, sorry Mr Mayor to drag this
You're right.
on. So at the moment with that infrastructure upgrade, are you sort of in limbo because you don't know what the others are doing? Is that,
No, they are in communication. Yeah, they are planning to work together.
okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Question around that, they're prepared to work together. Is anything concrete in place at the moment?
That's probably a good question for Lee, the owner.
I still think, for my own behalf, I still think that this most likely should be deferred. I think there's too many grey areas around this. Because obviously if you don't have concrete evidence that all these people are going to work together, then it's a massive change for that area.
Would you like our client to just answer the question about their progress?
I'll
Is that useful?
let you speak your
Yeah.
3 minutes around it, and
Okay.
if he's got a question, you maybe quickly ask him what his question is.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Do you want to quickly do that now?
Yep, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, thank you again for the opportunity. So I guess I would start by saying to councillors that the planning benefit of seeking to force the retention of the 30-metre section of indicative road, which is shown on the front page, is I don't particularly see the benefit either in the short or the long term of requiring that to remain in place. When this area of Cook Court was rezoned a number of years ago, no strategic controls were put in place by the way of development plan overlay or a developer contributions plan, which would have locked in clear development and infrastructure expectations. So as we've sort of alluded to here, it is it's fragmented property ownership, with the owners are seeking to develop and navigate council expectations and policy interpretation in a bid to deliver this subdivision area. The proposed amendment seeks to increase the number of lots by one in this small infill subdivision site, as discussed, replacing an indicative 30-metre portion of road, which we say has little practical benefit. The proposed change isn't inconsistent with the areas of the scheme cited, nor is it considered problematic in relation to the neighbourhood context or connectivity that's been put forward. I'll briefly outline why. Any connectivity savings for vehicles or pedestrians is minimal, and in particular for this site hinges on number 14 being developed in a way that would allow that connection. The policy application for this proposal has not been site-specific. In fact, the local policy, which includes the framework plan, cited as part of the refusal is for the whole of Balan. It's not just for this area that includes Crook Court. In looking at these aerial images, even if the connection was to go through and even if number 14 was developed in a way that council would like it to be developed, it's going onto Graham Street, which is currently an unmade road reserve, turning left, heads out to the Geelong-Balan Road, which is, I understand, an undesirable vehicle connection. Similarly for pedestrians, there's no footpath out there. It's a low level of amenity. It's an 80K area, which is noisy and busy. Otherwise, you're heading right back out onto Crook Court. So it's a difference of a few hundred metres, really, if the connection is or isn't put into place. The local policy for Balan, which talks about pedestrian and cycle connectivity, specifically talks about connectivity to the train station, to the middle of town, open space and other key destinations. And that's applicable for greenfield development, of which there is a lot coming for Balan.
Happy to keep going, councillors? Everyone's happy? Yep. Yep.
Thank you, it won't be much longer.
No, you're right.
This particular area is again identified in that local policy as a minimal growth area because of its location, which is specifically stated as being on the edge of town. It's constrained, it's fragmented, and there's a lack of direct access to those aforementioned destinations. And for these reasons, the desired development response for the minimal growth area focuses on built form. There's no mention in relation to connectivity or subdivision. And I guess we would question how the inclusion of one additional residential lot in place of this 30-metre indicative road connection provides, a level of inconsistency and detriment that's so great that this application should be refused. The connectivity that's sought is more akin to a greenfield situation, which this is not. So it's a bit impractical and unrealistic to require the same standards. The recommendation for refusal represents decision-making and policy application, as mentioned, that's more relevant to greenfield. It doesn't recognise the site-specific constraints and detail. The modest amendment seeks to replace that 30 metres with an additional lot in a time of housing stress in the local community. The practical planning consequence of removing this section, in summing up, it is indicated as an indicative connection. If you consider this proposal on its merits, one additional lot is suitable. The context and a reasonable planning outcome, which is made on balance, it clearly indicates that if the additional lot was allowed in lieu of the indicative connection, it would be appropriate. The connection at this point in time is uncertain and it really doesn't deliver any tangible outcomes. Thank you.
This is Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Again, infrastructure upgrades. I'm not the most experienced on connections and sewage and all that. So when Melbourne Water came to you and said, look, you need to upgrade this, is that specifically for that number of lots, or do they say that that upgrade would cater for an extra 50? Yep.
Yeah, so Melbourne Water have put a scheme in place into the planning scheme for Mirrabooshire, which has to be adhered to. It encompasses the whole area. It starts at the southern point of 14 Crook Court, the initial pipe work, heads south down Crook Court, across the property owners, I think it might be 33 Crook Court, into the distributary creek in behind those to the east, and then flows back up to the culvert on Old Melbourne Road, which that all needs upgrading too. So the whole area of this section is actually based on that area, and the upgrades have got to be appropriately designed to meet the needs of Melbourne Water and there in turn to council's requirements as well.
So just subsequent, just to summarise what I'm getting at, there's an extra connection now that you're obviously asking for, and when I look at the 4 blocks as a whole, as much as I don't like it, I like the current, how big the blocks are, but although I don't like those little small blocks, I can see very easily that in the future there's going to be some extra subdivisions. So when there's more connections, is that infrastructure still adequate, or will it need to be upgraded again?
The whole infrastructure will be adequate to what's allowed in the area to be subdivided, which is minimum of 800 square metre blocks.
Can we forward that question on to Mr Lovell?
There's 2 parts to it. Just one, there would be a drainage scheme, which I think the owner's referring to, which covers an entire area, and it would be based on that entire catchment of what needs to be serviced. So they'll look at area and then saying, in this area, we need X or Y type of drainage system to cater for that area. Number of lots, it will actually look at, there is a restriction based on the neighbourhood residential zone, which is a minimum lot size of 800 square metres. So if you've got an allotment, that's the minimum land area you can go to.
Happy with that?
Unless it's changed in the future. But yeah, happy.
You can actually ask that question if you like,
No,
Councillor Bingham.
No, it's all good.
Councillor Minari.
Thank you. My question is for officers. Are there any current applications in the green light system for number 14 Crook Court?
So through the chair, there are no current plan applications for 14 Crook Court, which is the immediate property to the north of this site.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just had a question. So this current permit was issued when? What's the date of it, please?
12 months ago.
Months to go
Yeah.
before you need an extension.
That's right. So the expiry condition will give us another 12 months to achieve certification. And once you've got certification, then you've got a few more years.
Yep. So the other ones, the other 3 properties are sort of in that broad area, they got a similar permit time?
Yes, yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a question for council officers. Look, are we working to a master plan that was approved by council, and what does it mean for future developments, and does it set a precedence for future developments as well?
Mr Lovell.
So just to clarify the question, talking about the Crook Court master plan?
Yes.
Yes, so that is specific to this area, and again, it's specific that knowing that, again, those 800 square metre allotments, and it is only to provide that connectivity in this section of Crook Court. It is an idea to essentially master plan Crook Court, so all the lots and adjacent subdivisions linked together. And the minute you take out that link, of course, then it isn't a master plan, it's basically an ad hoc subdivision arrangement.
Just one more question, thank you. So the future, if they do get developed, everyone else can come back and change the master plan. I'm not a planner, so I'm just trying to understand the whole concept. If you stop the connectivity going through, which is stopping people moving around, that can also happen in those other bits, which means they're all sort of going to be isolated in different areas. Is that correct, or?
So through the chair, that is a potential that could happen at once. One subdivision decides that they don't want that connectivity, then other subdivisions may say, well, if I'm not being connected to another subdivision, I will remove that connectivity, and therefore you will actually reduce the number of lots, because to develop your subdivision area, you'll have to have cul-de-sacs and one single road rather than this interactive subdivision arrangement.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ward and then Councillor Bingham. Councillor Ward? Turn your mute off. Still can't hear you. Can we hear you now, Councillor Ward? No, we can't hear you. Do you want to send your question through online? Thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Question to officers. Obviously no objections, which is a bit unusual for this area, but particularly I'm just interested in the subdivision that this will affect, because ultimately to the north of the site will be impacted the most in terms of, well, them having to build a cul-de-sac is going to reduce their lot sizes. Do we know that they had ample opportunity to make objections?
Mr Lovell.
So through the chair, all the adjacent property owners were notified of the plan application, including 14 Crook Court. So they had an opportunity to review the plans and lodge an objection.
So you
Councillor Bingham.
you personally or a council officer has approached them personally?
No, so through the chair, that was the advertising of the application. So the owner of the land, and also if there's an occupier, they would have received formal notification of the amendment, what was being amended. So it was very specific, saying we're increasing the number of lots, we're removing the northern access road, and we're also changing 3 separate conditions. So they had an opportunity during that advertising period to review plans and if they wanted to lodge an objection.
Councillor Ward, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you now. We're awake now.
Thank you. Sorry if it's loud. I'll try and speak softly. My question is just a follow-up to the earlier question about the master plan for this estate. Is the master plan we're talking about, is that the plan prepared by Mesh?
Mr. Lovell.
So through the chair, that is correct. It's called the Cook Court Concept Plan, and it was developed, as I said, as an arrangement to master plan a particular area of land.
So subsequent then, I suppose, has the developments in the other area that were in that Mesh plan, has the developments gone on as per that plan prepared by Mesh?
So through the chair, so the other subdivision arrangements, they are generally in accordance. There have been some slight modifications, including even to this site, because this site actually had a second northern road, but there have been slight adjustments, but they are generally in accordance with the concept plan.
Okay. And my last one then, Mr. Mayor, if I could, is so the point of this proposed road, which makes sense if the 2 blocks above it, as I look at the map, are developed. Am I correct in surmising that the onus will be on the owner of those 2 blocks to do all the infrastructure in terms of guttering, drainage and everything along to make Graham Street a road?
Mr. Lovell.
Through the chair, 14 Crook Court would have to do works to Graham Street. That's the road reserve, which is unconstructed, to the north, but they could have actually those as links, so they create links through different roads through, whether it be Cook Court from the east or Graham Street to the north.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions? Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, we have a...
Move the recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
No, we've got another speaker.
Yep, Mr. Hutchison. Lee Hutchinson. Yep.
I thought he was just dead.
Hang on. Yep.
Thank you, councillors. My name is Lee Hutchinson. I'm the owner of 22 Crook Court, and thanks for allowing me to speak. Just need to briefly point out the reference in Council's assessment report to the proposal not aligning with Council's adopted Crook Court Council Plan and the further full-page reference of this document. As stated in Council's own report of the Moorabool Growth Management Committee, report on 2nd of June 2021, this concept plan would hold no statutory weight in any formal decision making at VCAT. The report went on, the concept map does not need to be formally adopted, yet here is a document is not part of the Moorabool planning scheme and has no statutory weight, being incorrectly described as adopted and used as part of this refusal justification in the report to this DAC meeting. This site dates back to 2019 when I first looked at purchasing the block, and looking at the planning scheme in place, we developed plans right back then and tried to align ourselves with Alexander Drive south of us, which is a court destination. We've had plenty of changes over that time, a 2-lot and an 8-lot application approved. We also had a 12-lot application in at council, which since times past, we've had to move through different outcomes to get a favourable outcome. I feel the proposed 9-lot plan aligns with the planning scheme, the way that the 8-lot does, or one that has been approved so far. The main concerns from council are reduced connectivity to the immediate neighbourhood, compromising and not supporting active living and community walking and cycling, pedestrian and bicycle movements throughout the area. Page 29 of the report, paragraph 7 of the discussion points states, without this link to 14 Crook Court to the north, it would discourage pedestrians to walk without a direct route provided. that direct route would be to, obviously, town. If you do some measurements without this connection, it's about 80 metres difference to the intersection of Graham Street and Crook Court. I can't imagine this discouraging pedestrians or cyclists to be able to walk into town. Paragraph 5 states that my site is one of 5 properties, including 5484 Geelong Balan Road to the southwest, contain interconnecting road networks, which connects to the wider road network via Old Melbourne Road, which is the only exit out from this neighbourhood and a direct route to town. These properties can still be developed in an orderly manner, and an extra point can be provided at the south of Crook Court in the Court Bowl. Maybe even 5484 Geelong Road connects back into Alexander Drive, all leading to one exit out again at Old Melbourne Road.
Happy to keep going, councillors?
Nearly finished?
Yep.
Yep. This is a good outcome and doesn't require another link to Graham Street to exit out onto. In fact, more intersections and through traffic increases the risk on pedestrians and more noise pollution with braking, lights and such that goes throughout that. The planning scheme does allow for non-residential uses, aged care, recreation. A developer may also not intend to put a through road through. They may never develop in accordance with what council specifically want. This road connection would become unused, which in turn becomes a cost and a burden on council and taxpayers to be able to clean up if it becomes a dumping ground. Without this 30 metres of road, the proposed 9-lot application is still generally in accordance with the Crook Court concept plan, which isn't inserted into the planning scheme, and it interconnects with the surrounding properties, which has been outlined already in council's notes provided. If approved, I can still see this representing a great outcome in the area without inhibiting the neighbourhood character. I have more information on infrastructure if you need, and what's already gone to Melbourne Water if you have questions about it.
Councillor Minari.
Lee, have you had much experience in subdivision?
Yes, I've subdivided quite a number of lots over the last 10 years. Okay. Yep, so worked with community councils all throughout.
And do you live in Balan or?
I live in Ballarat.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so nearby.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to note that I'd like to move the alternate that's on our table today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Question of the applicant, landowner. I'm probably just going to take your word on it, but my question is, well, naturally I assume you speak to all your neighbours. Is that correct?
The ones that are with these plans, the approved?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to get at, have you personally talked to number 14 about the fact that his land is going to be somewhat affected?
Yes, I've spoken to the owners of 14 and asked whether they've even likelihood to develop, which they've stated that they won't. They would sell. It would be up to someone else to develop down the track.
Okay. And then just, well, not really a subsequent, but a different question. So just in regards to, well, if they're not going to really, it's a bit of, footpath access. If you build a footpath, you don't know what's going to happen north. But anyways, just in regards to footpath access, was that ever explored? Because obviously it would be better for your application if footpath access was in fact designed.
Well, I suppose if there's limited room, if we put this extra block in, it may create an extra 1.5 metres of space. So whether that outcome still connects into 14 Crook Court hasn't been explored really too much.
Well, I just got a comment, because just looking at these plans, you obviously can't eat into those 5 lots because that will go under 800 square metres. But you could clearly eat into your existing lot to the right, correct?
No, that's already been sold.
Okay, so that bigger block's been sold.
The bigger block with the house on it's already been sold. It's already in ownership.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you. Councillor Minari, would you like to speak on your...
I'll move the alternate, thank you.
Yep. Do we have a seconder? Anyone object? A discussion? Okay. Councillor Minari. No. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Freeman.
Okay.
Councillor Minari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council's Mesh Crook Court concept plan, that's quite a mouthful, has already been amended, and we amended that by last year in 2025, and that was done by us. We amended it in this meeting. That demonstrates these plans are not fixed forever and can evolve as circumstances change. Sometimes we have to make decisions based on what's realistic, achievable and practical. There is no certainty that the adjoining land will be developed in the foreseeable future, or if at all. Keeping the approved road in place does not guarantee there will ever be a connection to the north. If that doesn't occur, we could be left with a road that simply goes nowhere for many years, creating an untidy and incomplete streetscape. I would rather see a practical, finished subdivision that works well today than hold on to a connection that may never eventuate. I encourage my fellow councillors to support the alternate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to read from our council law officer's discussion. It says the proposal seeks to amend the subdivision layout to increase the number of lots. It then goes down to the applicant has already obtained a planning permit application number ending in 001 with lots and roads arranged generally in accordance with the Crook Court concept plan. The amended subdivision arrangements as proposed in the amendment request are not based on planning grounds, but seeking to address ongoing financial costs that is not a valid planning consideration. The delays with obtaining planning permit ending in 001 were due to the applicant's inability to resolve Melbourne Water's request for further information over a 2-year period. It then goes on to say the subject site and surrounding land west of Crook Court is transitioning from a low-density residential typology to a more compact form of urban residential development. Then goes on to say the proposed amendments would remove the link to 14 Crook Court, not only compromising pedestrian and vehicle connectivity and preventing any future subdivision of 14 Crook Court from linking directly to the subject site and to the other approved subdivisions in the neighbourhood, without maintaining the approved subdivision layout on ending in 001, will result in a more circuitous path of travel which discourages connectivity, particularly for pedestrians, and risks entrenching private vehicle use for trips which would otherwise be optimally walkable if a direct route is provided. I'll just finish by saying I have spoken over my time as a councillor with many Balan residents who are against a more compact form of urban residential development, which this alternative motion is doing. It is by cutting down the sizes of the blocks to put in an extra block for financial gain. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sullivan.
We seem to be putting a lot of consideration or effort into the Crook Court concept plan that was prepared by Mesh, I think 2020 or 2021. I think concept's the key word there, because I think that's what it was, just a concept. Because I find it rather interesting. I sort of considered that plan in light of what the previous speaker, Ms Fisher, provided us. When you see the aerial image with the overlay of those permits that have already been issued, and I count 4 houses are going to have to be demolished to actually achieve the outcome. Well, I'm assuming they're houses that they similar look like houses from the aerials. So I think the Cook Court concept plan wasn't really ground truthed. Looked on the site itself what the impact was. So I think we have to sort of be aware that that's what it was, just a concept plan, maybe just done as a desk exercise rather than sort of really ground truth. And I think that's what my take on it. I think clearly the area is in a lot of fragmented ownership, and I think the lot sizes that existed before the sewerage came into Balan were probably in the order of about a hectare type blocks, because so this was done by the former Shire of Balan, so that was cut up into those type of blocks. Now, the concept plan of Crook Court would be ideal if it was a greenfield site. It would fit in beautifully, because that way everything would line up and you'd be able to achieve it. But we have the intervening issue of the ownership and that development. We have to be aware of that and try to, you know, we're generally guided by the concept plan, but we can't rigidly adhere to it in all cases, because we have to be able to adjust to changing circumstances. And I sort of see this is one of those changing circumstances. So I think it'll be some time before any of this area is developed because of the Melbourne water and the other challenges that exist. But having said that, I think that this change can be accommodated, and I would support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The proposal at hand does not align with either the Moorabool Planning Scheme or the Council's adopted Crook Court Concept Plan. The Crook Court Concept Plan was noted as the appropriate tool to communicate Council's desired outcomes for this area and drive improved urban form outcomes in the future. Overall, the proposed amendments to the planning permit creates an additional lot and removes road, cyclist and pedestrian access, which is not in accordance with the municipal planning strategy, the planning policy framework and the municipal planning scheme, and in particular, the Neighbourhood Residential Zone Schedule 7 and Clause 56. The subdivision layout as proposed in the amendment is not based on planning grounds, but seeking to address an ongoing financial cost which is not valid planning consideration. The change to the proposed layout in this planning application is inconsistent with those provisions of the Moorabool Planning Scheme that promotes an integrated transport network, which also includes the needs for pedestrians and cyclists. The benefits of an integrated road network includes greater efficiency for all transport modes, increased opportunities for walking and cycling, and together with reduced private car use, especially for short trips, which contributes to a safer and healthier neighbourhood. The subject site is one of 5 properties in a precinct for which there are current permits for multi-lot residential subdivisions, all containing an interconnected road network designed in accordance with the Moorabool Planning Scheme and in particular with the Crook Court Concept Plan. This cluster of approved subdivisions also provides for a potential link with 14 Crook Court to the north and Geelong Balan Road to the south, to extend connectivity throughout the neighbourhood if those properties are subdivided in the future, and allows consistency with the Crook Court Concept Plan. This planning application would remove the link to 14 Crook Court, which plans for pedestrian and vehicle connectivity, and preventing any future subdivision of 14 Crook Court from linking directly to the proposal and to other approved subdivisions in the neighbourhood. Removing the approved subdivision layout would result in a more indirect path of travel, discourages connectivity, particularly for pedestrians and cyclists, while on the other hand, entrenching private car use. In the case of this current proposed plan, road layout, it is even more important to encourage pedestrians and cyclists, as there is no public open space in the vicinity for pedestrians and cyclists to take advantage of. In summing up, it should be noticed that Council's development infrastructure advised, 1, that the revised road layout raises concerns regarding the adequacy of stormwater drainage solutions and the ability to manage stormwater runoff effectively. 2, the proposed road layout will create inefficiencies in waste collection and service delivery due to the reduced accessibility of the suboptimal road design, ultimately impacting the functionality of the subdivision over time. The proposed amendments to the Crook Court concept plan would create an inappropriate subdivision arrangement that undermines functioning of the surrounding neighbourhood, and that has been subdivided in accordance with the municipal planning scheme and also in accordance with the Crook Court concept plan. The Crook Court concept plan was prepared to provide for an overall framework for the development of the area, which provides for vehicle, cyclist and pedestrian connectivity. The Crook Court concept plan was noted as the appropriate tool to communicate Council's desired incomes for this precinct and drive improved outcomes for future subdivisions. The proposed amendment would create an inappropriate road layout that undermines the functioning of the surrounding neighbourhood, and that has been subdivided in accordance with the Mirrabul planning scheme and the Crook Court concept plan.
Wrap it up.
This planning implication has no merit whatsoever.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Councillor Ward, are you speaking for or against?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm speaking in favour or in support of the alternate, Councillor Manari raised.
Yep.
I won't speak for too long because I think Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Manari spoke very well. I think if, just to talk about a couple of the points that have been raised against the alternate, if everything was done as per the planning scheme, we actually wouldn't need a DAC. And I think we've got a fantastic planning team in Mirrabul, but officers are constrained, put forward by recommendations that are as per the planning screen. I've learned a lot about planning over the last 6 years, and I think the discretion that councillors have by the DAC is allows us to make some decisions which we think may be in the best interests of the development of the land. So Councillor Sullivan said we're not guided rigidly, or we don't rigidly have to adhere to the planning scheme, and we do have the ability to make a decision if we think it's the right outcome. Councillor Keogh spoke about the potential link. Now, if I was confident that potential link would be built in the next 5 years, I probably would be speaking in favour of the recommendation. However, knowing the infrastructure costs of Graham Street's potential development, I can't see any potential link being utilised other than probably as a dumping point for God knows what, anything in the foreseeable future. So I'm in favour of Councillor Manari's alternate motion. I think we can use that discretion when we are going to achieve an outcome that is going to be in line with the state government's 21,000 new homes that must be built in Mirrabul. Now, we're not talking about high density living here, but the land's gone well past having the rural living. And as we fully know, with the requirements put upon us by the state government, if we don't allow higher density living, then the decision will be taken out of our hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Manari, closing argument.
Got a
You want to speak?
question, Mr Mayor, because it will determine if I'm in favour or not. So my question's to Councillor Manari. Will you add another condition that, and I get that we got at present 800 metre blocks at minimum, but that won't be forever. So can we add in the condition that there will be no further subdivisions? Because I can see at least 2 blocks where you can subdivide.
Councillor Minari.
173.
What block are you referring to?
There's 2 blocks on the corners, you can clearly subdivide those. So can we just add it?
Blocks are you talking, I just don't understand which blocks you're talking about.
There's 2 blocks that are on the corners?
On the corners?
No, there's one on the corner, one on the end. In the future, I'm telling you, someone will make those 400 square metre blocks, and I don't want that.
Do you want to pass that to Mr Lovell? Do you want to speak?
We should suspend standing orders, maybe? Yeah.
Mr Lovell?
So through the chair, I suppose even if you do boundary alignments, the criteria is that 800 square metres. So if you look at those 2 southern, let's say southern lots, which are 969.50, re-subdivide, they still have 800 square metre based on the current planning controls.
Yeah, I don't want to drag all this on. I get that. As Councillor Waters said, there's a lot of discretion being used all the time, and in the same picture, there is multiple lots subdivided. So it's going to be possible in 5, 10 years' time, people will try to subdivide these blocks. And I'm just saying, let's ensure that that doesn't happen. So can we just add a condition? And I'm all for it.
Councillor Minari.
A question is to officers. Is there a section 173 for this?
So through the chair, there is no 173 agreement condition associated with this subdivision.
That is I'm a bit confused for your question because you're trying to preempt something that may happen in 20 years.
That's how good I am.
800 square metres is pretty small as it is. And then even still, sometimes, as we've seen in Precinct 5, for example, there is a need for all size blocks. There is a need for people that live by themselves and they can't take care of a garden, so they want a townhouse. So I think that I don't think there needs to be a condition because you're talking about reality may be quite a long time in the future.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just make the comment, if I may, that we're dealing with the zoning as it currently is. If there was any future change to the zoning, it would call into question the validity of such a condition because all bets would be off. So I think it's a moot question, really. I don't think we just got to deal with as it is now. I understand the concern my colleague has, but really we just got to deal with what's in front of us. To be speculative about what might happen in the future is just that. Thank you.
Councillor Minari, closing argument. You're right.
Okay. All right. So, firstly, I'd like to just refer back to what Councillor Ward said in terms of this meeting in itself, the DAC meeting. I've really enjoyed being a part of this meeting over this last 6 years, and because you get to hear when you are invited out to the owner's property or the applicant or whoever is speaking on behalf of the application, you know, we hear the raw emotion. We hear the challenges that they've faced. We hear the story of years and years and years of hard work and the cost that goes with that. And I've never taken that for granted because it's a challenging place to be in. So in terms of what we're looking at tonight, I didn't feel comfortable that it was going to be unfinished. You know, you've seen it before. You see it a lot where it's a dead end, someone's dumping their stuff on it, it's a dead end road, it's going to go there, it's maybe going to go somewhere one day. But I'd like to see this subdivision finished. We have someone now that's very keen to do that. And Melbourne Water in the past, in terms of, if we look at last year's decisions that we made, in terms of these other blocks, Melbourne Water put conditions in, but they consented with those conditions. Of course, this also, we're not looking at a blank canvas. We're not looking at a brand new development with no trees, no nothing on it. So it's always going to have its challenges. And I think people will really, really like the idea of how Crook Court is developing. I can remember it from years ago, being all large lots. And people have been able to, I know people that have been able to buy in that area for the first time, first homes. And I think that we were chosen, the land was chosen as a growth corridor. We knew that 12 years ago. And to be able to do this justice, I think I applaud all the people that have committed to it. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, if this vote were to fail, I'll foreshadow a deferral.
Okay, we have an alternative motion. We have a mover in Councillor Minari, a seconder in Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour?
Hey, I didn't close. Do I get a second go or not?
No, you don't get a second go. So, it was worth it. All right, we'll start that again. We have a mover in Councillor Minari, a seconder in Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? All those against? Lost.
Division. Can I do that?
All those for? Stand. Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Minari and Councillor Ward. All those against? Councillor Keogh, Councillor Bingham, Councillor Freeman and Councillor Venditti-Taylor.
So good thing I deferred that, foreshadowed, so I'd move a deferral.
All those in favour of, can we do that for governance? Or is it just out? Councillor Sullivan.
So just a point of order, I'd just like clarification. If it's been defeated, we can't defer it, I would have thought.
Governance.
The Chair, what's been defeated is an alternate recommendation. What's been foreshadowed? Yeah, what's been foreshadowed by Councillor Bingham is a deferral, so it can be heard.
So we have you want to second it? So we've got to move it to defer it in Bingham. We've got a seconder in Ward. All those in favour? We'll go against after we go all in favour. Anyone against?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Governance.
Councillor Bingham was talking about foreshadowing the original. Now you've gone to a deferral. Is that correct?
No, what I foreshadowed, in the event that we lost, I'll defer a deferral.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were foreshadowing the original. Right, okay, thank you.
To find out is there anyone opposed at this point before we go to a vote?
Sorry, I'm just a bit lost as to, so we have lost the,
Motion is lost.
lost. Now, the
We're gonna
original
defer.
motion is,
To the next meeting.
Through the Chair, at this point, the only thing on the table that's been moved is a deferral.
right,
And seconded.
Yeah.
right,
So we're just deferring it.
right. Why are we deferring? Can I ask that question?
I personally think we need more information on what's happening, to be completely honest. Governance?
I think Councillor Freeman is asking a question of the mover in terms of the reasoning behind the deferral.
I'm happy to answer that. Look at the debate. I don't want this permit to fall dead in the water. That's why I'm deferring it, so we can sort it out. So this permit is still live.
Okay. So we have a mover in Bingham Secondary ward, anyone opposed? All those in favour? Carried. Councillor Sullivan, do you have any other business?
Business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Keogh, any other business?
No other business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Minari, any other business?
No other business, thank you.
Councillor Bingham, any other business?
Negative on the business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Freeman, any other business?
No other business, thank you.
Councillor Ward, any other business?
No other business, thank you, Mr Mayor.
The next Development Assessment Committee meeting was scheduled for Wednesday, the 19th of August, 2026. Thank you, councillors, officers and members of the public for attending this evening's meeting. I now declare this meeting closed. Thank you.